Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Talking Transformers Toys, the show where myself and Andy sit around and talk about transforming toys. In this episode, we are doing one of our off-the-shelf picks, a random selection. And I don't know, do you want to go first or second, Andy, this week?
I don't mind going first, if that's all right with you.
Go for it then.
Right,
Show
so
me something.
a magical. Let's see what you think of this one. So this literally, we talked about doing one of our bots off the shelf, and I looked at one of my shelves and I saw this bot and I thought, do you know what? Why is that at the back of that shelf? Why has that got pushed out of the way? That needs some time in the limelight. So it's not from a particularly long time ago, but apparently it is quite difficult to pick up. So it is Legacy Nova Prime. Now, I realise there will be people watching this who have had trouble picking up this figure. I got mine on a pre-order because, as I always do with a bot where I am really nervous about missing out on it, I get it pre-ordered. But I also know that it is the Galaxy upgrade Optimus Prime with a few modifications. But having owned both of those toys, I can tell you that for me, this is a mild improvement on the other one. And I liked the Galaxy upgrade, but this is just a thing of beauty. If we ignore the Hasbro white paint issues that we all know exist and just smile and hope for the best,
Pray.
yeah, very much so. Mine so far, I don't think has shown any particular signs of yellowing that I can notice yet. That aside, he is just a fantastic bot. I mean, again, as we've discussed on this show before, I am a bot mode kind of guy, and by God, that is one hell of a bot mode. And I know there's third-party upgrade kits that you can buy that make it look more like he did in the comic books, but I'm happy enough. I don't feel like I need it. That's the thing, Dave. I'm more than happy with this. And I think it's got a lot of play value because you obviously have the inner robot, which is another smaller white Optimus Prime. You have the vehicle mode itself, which is fine. It's Galaxy upgrade Optimus Prime painted white, but it's fine. It does the job it needs to do. But this thing is just, it's just epic. It's just a thing of beauty. Do you have this at all, Dave?
I do, as a matter of fact, because yes, much like yourself, I pre-ordered it. It's kind of a weird one, actually, because I remember when this went up on Hasbro Pulse, and I seem to distinctly remember that even after its release, you could go ahead and still get it. It wasn't a bot that immediately sold out, but as you say, now that it is sold out, good luck trying to track one down. I agree with you. I think it is a wonderful reuse of that mold. In fact, I would perhaps suggest my favorite use of that mold, purely because of the fact that, well, who would have thought we would have got a Nova Prime of all things?
Exactly.
It's
topical at the moment.
I agree. Well, this is very true. Also, as well, mine still pristine white, thankfully. Why? Because it's shoved right at the back of my shelf.
That must be why I did the same thing. It's like, right, how far back can I get you out of any possible UV light?
So I don't know if the last time you were over at my house, but I don't know if I remember showing you the room and stuff where I've obviously sealed as much natural light out of that room as humanly possible. But I think the reason mine's stuck at the back of the shelf is just the wingspan. It just makes things awkward. So, to the back of the shelf you go, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree with that, which is why I find it not bizarre, because I get it. People want that accuracy from the comic books, so they buy the upgrade kits with the bigger wings, with the posable parts to the wings, and that's fine. But as I say, it takes up a lot of space. If you've got the space, obviously fine. But for me, it's I'm more than happy as it is. And I also want to give a special shout out because I remember when I bought it and it arrived, how gorgeous the box artwork is. And I know
yes,
space is always an issue, isn't it? So I have started to get rid of some boxes because there's just not enough room. But my God, this thing is just beautiful, and it even opened kind of in a more what felt like a more what's the word? It felt like they put more money into the premium. Thank you, and more premium style to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still just the product shots on the back, but I would, if that was an art print that I could buy, that would be on my wall now somewhere, annoying my wife. That is just a thing of beauty. So that's another reason I love it. I could just sit and look at that all day. Be a boring day, what's some ways, but
I agree with you to an extent, because when it arrived, I did think, ooh, this is very premium. And then you open the box and he was literally wrapped in tissue paper.
Yes, he was. Yeah, which was a weird thing. It was like, what? I'm guessing it was an attempt to protect it.
Something like that, yeah. You were just like, oh, just wrap it in tissue paper and throw it in the box. It's fine. I agree. I love it. Going back to that Asian series of IDW, which to my mind is not only, I think, one of my all-time favorite runs of comic books, but might be in contention for like my favorite. The idea of Nova being in there, and finally, I mean, after almost 20 years, finally getting a toy, because I think we've had him now for about 2 years. I think he came out about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
So we're looking at about 18 years. But yeah, wonderful toy. Absolutely love it. And again, yes, it's a remold, but it is the best use, in my opinion, of that mold.
Agreed.
And that's not to take anything away from the Ultra Magnus or the Galaxy Force Optimus Prime, or the Cybertron Optimus Prime. But yeah, I thought it was an inspired choice. And hey, cool, we finally have a Nova Prime.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's kind of topical as, Age of the Primes, although my memory of him was he was not actually a Prime, as in a 13 Prime, an original. In fact, I'm not even sure if he was...
No, he was not.
He was more of a dodgy Prime, wasn't he? But either way...
He was. He was basically the blueprint for Sentinel Prime in Transformers 1.
Yeah, I think there's definitely elements of him, isn't there? And he was very much an expansionist, wasn't he, in the comic books? He was a good guy, but a bad guy in many ways. And I like that. More interesting than just, very plain good guy, bad guy story. This is somebody who has a lot of layers to him. And the toy is it's a really good toy. If people can get hold of it, I personally hope Hasbro maybe do one of their reissues, seeing as we have Age of the Primes, so that people can grab one, definitely.
Let's hope so. Well, it's funny that you bring up Age of the Primes.
Why is that, Dave?
So, I'm going to give a little bit of backstory before I talk about my choice for this particular episode. So, we have a scheme at work, and the scheme is that if you celebrate the work that other people have done, you get points, and points equal prizes. And despite the fact that I have known about this for many years, I've never paid any attention to it at all. Until the other day when I was sitting around and an email popped up and went, hey, you've got these points to redeem. And I'm like, all right, okay, I'll have a look at it. So I'm scrolling through it and I'm like, I don't want a screwdriver. I don't want, whatever. But then I find out there's a gift section, and one of the gift cards you can get is Smith's.
Hooray!
Fantastic. So I managed to get this guy for 10 whole pounds.
Oh, I'm so jealous. So jealous right now.
This is Primer Prime. And you know what? £10 is about what I'd want to pay for it.
Really? Ooh. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, it should be noted that when I say £10 is about what I would expect to pay for this guy, that comes with a lot of caveats, because I am underserving Primer a little bit here. And perhaps once you get your hands on this fella, because I know you will, maybe we'll take another look at him. But what I would just simply say right off the bat is that I got this guy literally days apart from Red Alert from Transformers Armada, as you well know, because we were sat here as I crumbled and bought him off Amazon. And when Red Alert showed up, I was really happy. It's a character that I have a great deal of sentimental attachment to. It was a chunky toy that was very simple and straightforward. And despite the fact that it was at a premium price, £35, £37, maybe, whatever I ended up paying for him on Amazon, I didn't mind it because it just gave me a lot of joy. Like I say, it's very chunky, very simple, but we're not here to talk about that. Primer, on the other hand, is a character that I care nothing about and is literally one of the most boring looking robots that has ever existed. I mean, it's like he's grey and he is literally only 2 shades of grey, maybe 3 if you count his sword. So he's got 3 shades of grey and some blue highlights and a really, really weird looking head. And he transforms into a grey box. Having said that, great articulation. Because of the way he transforms, he actually comes with an ab crunch. However, the ab crunch can only weirdly look up. He looks different. And I think that does play into the notion that he is supposed to be different. He is the leader of the Primes. But when I compare him to Megatronus or Solus, or even if we look at some of the ones that are coming up, they all have color for a start, which is great. And they also have like a weird personality, there's something about them that like makes them look interesting. I guess like when you go from the Fallen, who is literally on fire, to a 3-tone grey lump of plastic, he's just tub fodder. Like he will be in a tub before. I don't know. The only way I think this guy escapes the tub of doom is if all of the other Primes are so good that I decide to dedicate like a shelf to the Primes, in which case he has to be there. But he will definitely be pushed to the back.
Oh dear. Well, I mean, like as you said, I don't actually own the.
And I'm going to get some flack for that.
You are, probably. I will offer a modicum of defence and also some agreement with some of the points you've made. So I was lucky enough at the TFN Manchester Minicon to get to handle a copy of Prime of Prime that was brought by Toys R Us.
Okay.
Hasbro giving him some to look at, review, and he brought it along. And I had a little fiddle with it. I didn't transform it, because I was far too scared of transforming it and breaking something. But I did have a fiddle with the robot mode. And I agree, the articulation on it, I think, was excellent. The joints all felt really good. The build quality of it felt really good. However, from the moment I saw this, I have said this many a time to my friends and associates, such as yourself, I think it looks boring. I think they should have given it more paint. Now, I've seen some customs. Some people have done customs, and you shouldn't have to do this, but some people have, because they felt the same way you do and I do. And they added some either gold, or I've also seen blue used for some of the deco of it. And that it's amazing how much just that could like bring it to life. But I think yes, good bot, but boring to look at for me personally, and I'm not that excited by the alt mode.
No, there is some incredible sculpt work going on. There's a lot going on for him. But yeah, it is literally just that. And I get it. When we've seen Primer in images, he's, there's light emanating from him. He is cast in a sort of divine glow almost. I think of the Prime's book, where he was depicted. And I get you can't do that with a toy. So if you can't do that with a toy, then do something else with him to make him interesting. And I think we talked about this we might have talked about this either on the show or off the show. But it's like the fact that none of these, and quite rightly so, none of these come with like faction symbols.
Yeah.
Makes me sort of feel like if you told me this had come from a completely different transforming line from Japan, I'd have been like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, makes sense. Because the only thing that really cements him to the Transformers is the fact that his Matrix is on the hilt of his sword. And yes, you can take the Matrix off, and he does have a Matrix cavity. That's cool. But it's almost like a little disappointing, unfortunately.
It's almost like it's the prime of the generic bot. It just, like you say,
Yes.
when you compare it to the other ones we've had so far, he just looks dull. And you're right, in the Covenant of Primus, he was depicted almost knight-like as this tall, shining example. And you kind of get it in hand, and I think a bit of paint would have really brought to life some of the detail on it, and given it that feeling of being Prime. It just looks like a grey, fairly generic bot with a slightly strange head. Which, again, probably end up Bexel getting it, because, 13 primes. But he will be unlikely to be at the front of the shelf, front and centre. He'll be at the back waving. And that's probably as good as it'll be for him, if not in a box.
I think so. I think he's destined for the tub. But
destined.
Only time will tell. Only time will tell. But yes. So there we go. There are 2 bots off the shelf. A very quick one for you this week. But we will be back, as always, next week with another video. Andy, say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
And we will catch you all next time. Bye for now.